This regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is being held Tuesday. Officially, we'll go ahead and get it done officially here. This regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is being held Tuesday, December the 14th, 2021.
Oh, no, that's good.
The meeting is being called to order, and the time is 6 p.m. We're going to go ahead and begin with our pledge. We have a special guest here today. Good evening. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and led by Aiden Baron. He's a sixth grader at Enzer Middle School, and he'll go ahead and lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Let's proceed with the next item on the agenda, our interim superintendent's comments. Ms. Carmona?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. President Morales and members of the board, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the new members to our leadership team. I'd like to introduce Ms. Sonia Duffy as the new assistant principal of Sergeant Manuel Puentes Middle School. I'd also like to introduce Mr. Raul Caldera as the principal of Ernesto Serna Pre-K 8 campus. Mr. Luis Carrillo as the new assistant principal at Pebble Hills High School. Michelle Escajeda as the new assistant principal at Jane Hambrick School. Angie Peña as the new assistant principal at Lujan Chavez Elementary School. Ms. Christine Horn as the new assistant principal at Purple Heart Elementary School. And Ms. Angelica Hernandez as the new director of attendance, promotion, placement, and retention. I'd also like to begin this evening. I'd like to tell you about an amazing group of students who are gaining real work experience with one of our partners in education, the hospitals at Providence East. These 10 students with special needs are part of a Project Search, a program that is conducted at the hospital where they are participating in a long-year internship. These students are rotating through jobs in various departments, including the information desk, sterile processing, oncology, central supply, engineering, cafeteria, gift shop, laundry, surgery, and environmental services. They are learning a wealth of competitive and marketable skills and knowledge while boosting their independence, confidence, and self-esteem. After completing Project Search, the students may seek employment at the hospital or anywhere their skill sets are needed. I want to acknowledge and thank our outstanding special education staff, our partners at the hospitals of Providence East, for preparing our students for success in the workplace. The students in Project Search are our why. They are why we work hard to provide the highest quality education and endless opportunities for all students to succeed after high school in higher education, careers, and in life. Last month, KVIA did a very nice feature on Project Search, and I'd like to share that with you. So let's take a look.
A hands-on education program is empowering borderland students with disabilities. It's taking them out of the classroom and into the real world to help them when it's time to join the workforce. ABC 7's Brenda Chavez explains how the program works.
Working in a hospital is a big deal.
For the rest of the school year, you can spot Sarah Jimenez working in the laundry department at the hospitals of Providence East campus.
I have a disability. I have Down children.
The Motwood High School student is one of 10 SISD students participating in Project Search.
It's a program for young adults to work in a hospital to serve for a year.
The national program, now in its third year at SISD, gives these students an opportunity to gain competitive skills that they can take with them wherever they go.
The ultimate goal of the program is for them to gain competitive paid employment.
The program's instructor says that 87% of the students who participated in the internship last year got a full-time job, some even here at the Hospitals of Providence East campus. It's becoming a full circle moment as the former interns are now helping the new ones.
What are we going to do serving? I think our students really exude a lot of confidence, maturity, and they're just so proud of being in our program.
Gasca says the Hospitals of Providence welcomed each of the students with open arms.
Especially now that there's a big labor shortage, we definitely want to explore all options wherever we can have productive workers that are very disciplined, well-behaved, and they make for the best employees here at the Hospitals of Providence.
I feel so excited because I like to be part of working in the hospital because it's a big deal because I need to find a job.
Brianna Chavez, ABC 7.
Let's give our students a round of applause. Also, just a reminder, Socorro ISD will be closed for winter break starting Monday, December the 20th, and we will be back on January the 3rd of 2022. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for a wonderful year. 2021 had bumps, but we had more triumphs. And I have all of you to thank for that. I encourage everyone to be safe and take precautions so that we can come back in 2022 stronger than ever. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Carmona. We're going to move to item 4, board honors. We've got Mr. Daniel Escobar.
Good evening, President Morales, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona. My name is Daniel Escobar, Chief Communications Officer for the district, and it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's recognitions. If you'll all please step down to receive our honorees. Our first recognition this evening honors SISD students who won the El Paso Community College K-12 Art Contest. These talented individuals placed in top division categories out of hundreds of entries submitted into the citywide contest. There were 3 first-place winners, a second-place winner, and 2 third-place winners among the SISD students. One student received the prestigious President's Award in the middle school division. Congratulations to the winners of the EPCC K-12 Art Contest. They are, from Escontrias Elementary, Jesus Leiva. From John Drugan School, Daniela Olea. From Slider Middle School, DeAndre Donacio. From Menzer Middle School, Alexi Campbell. And from Eastlake High School, Zoe Martinez. Students, if we will please have you come back to the front and join our Dr. Carmona and our trustees for a photo. Would we bring one of? Yeah, Bill in there. Yeah. One of you. There we go. Keep smiling, keep smiling. All right, we got it. Congratulations once again. Our next recognition honors the winners of the annual District Winter Holiday Art Contest. These outstanding artists showed their creativity and talent with artwork that featured colorful scenes of the holiday season with a theme of you, me, we, or Team SISD. The winning entries will be or have been professionally framed for each student and made into holiday postcards. Congratulations to the winners and thank you to all participants for sharing their creativity and artistic holiday spirit. Receiving on behalf of our K through 2nd category winner is her sister Evelyn Adame, receiving on behalf of Amaria Adame. From Robert Rojas Elementary, Jasmine Cardenas. From John Drugan School, Sarah Vidales. And from Socorro High School, Shelly Lorraine Rodriguez. If we can have you please back to the front so we can take a photo with Dr. Carmona and our trustees. Yes, sir. That's right. Congratulations once again. Next, we recognize the Eastlake Falcons varsity football team for winning a 2021 UIL by-district championship. The team had an outstanding season, finishing 10-2 overall and 6-1 in district play. The Falcons averaged 35.1 points per game and had 5 all-star players this year, with running back Elijah Uribe earning the district's most valuable player. Absolutely. Congratulations to the Eastlake Falcons football team. The team members are Isi Uribe, Sebastian Rendon, Albert Hernandez, Julian Melucci, Adrian Lopez, Eli Uribe, Julius Acosta, Jaime Guerrero, Alfonso Mancera, Paul Guerra, Chris Estrada, Tristan Peña, Evan Estrada, Hector Hinojos, Paul Herrera, Isaiah Chavez, Andre Quiñata, Anthony Moreno, Anakin Atiano, Rodrigo Cardenas, Ivan Medrano, Andrew Aranda, Tyler Bliss, Isaiah Rodriguez, Joseph Minjares, Raúl Contreras, Angel Burciaga, Aiden Moreno, Brandon Lira, Francisco Solis, Adam Kirtley, Austin Esparza, Aiden Martinez, Aaron Castro, Fernie Diaz, Jerry Santos, Giovanni Monares, Hector Flores, Logan Villalba, Juan Quisada, Matthew Olivas, Joseph Macias, Miguel Franca, Jonathan Hebler, Eugene Harrison, Sebastian Castañeda, Damian Portillo, Logan Duran, Ricky Frizel, Aiden Bautista, Alex Betancourt, Axel Marin, Caleb Emery, Jordan Roach, Armando Morales III, Chris Garcia, and the Eastlake Falcon coaches, Luis Avila, David Atiano, James Boyd, Paul Herrera, Arturo Poblano, Eric Corbett, Adrian Herrera, Miguel Sadaña, JB France, Tony Nieves, Noel Robles, and they are led by head coach Ruben Rodriguez. Gentlemen, if we can have you all please come back to the front, and they'll get you situated for a photo. All right. Emily. Just try and stay right inside that line. Right there. That little hash mark right there. Inside, right inside, right inside. Got to scoot over a little bit. Drive all the way through. Scoot in as much as you can. Scoot in. Whoa. Sorry.
We can adjust.
Still. All right, everybody smile. Look right at Acabius, right in the center. Keep smiling, keep smiling, keep smiling.
Spent all my years coaching there. Yeah.
Keep those smiles.
Lifelong relationships with those kids.
All right, congratulations once again. And just a quick note that all the photos taken by our district photographer, Mr. Largo, will be posted on the district SmugMug account. On our webpage, there's a little camera icon. The photos are available for a free high-resolution download. They'll also be posted on social media this evening, or the group photo will. Well, they need to go somewhere. I'm sorry, there's one more. All right, we have one more recognition. Our final recognition tonight honors a varsity soccer coach from Eastlake High School for being inducted into the 2021 Texas Association of Soccer Coaches Hall of Honor. This prominent soccer coach has guided the Eastlake boys to a Final Four appearance in Class 5A and an Elite 8 appearance in Class 6A. Last school year, he led the Falcons to a District 1-6A championship and won 4 playoff matches. In his 21-year career, he has won 502 matches, 300 as a girls coach and 202 as a boys coach. Congratulations to none other than Eastlake Falcons head soccer coach, Gibby Widner. And one more photo for this evening. We're going to have all of the Falcon soccer players here with us. Please join Coach Gibby. You want to go around and around the back and around the sides? Here we go. All right. They all go. Yeah. Once we can see everybody's face in KBS, you let us know. All right, can we see everybody? Make sure. Congratulations once again. And that concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You better bring it.
Vancina?
I'm-
Daniel?
I can call it out. He's not here. We'll just. Requested. He Let's proceed to the next item, item 6, Board of Trustees business. Discussion and possible action regarding Superintendent's search summary report and leadership profile. Our presenter is JG Consulting. You've got the floor.
Wonderful, thank you. Do you mind if I take my mask down, or would you prefer that I keep it on? Pleasure.
You're
Board.
comfortable.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you. Thank you, Board President Morales, distinguished members of the board. For the record, James Guerra, President and CEO of JG Consulting. Joining me this evening is Dr. Steve Flores, behind me to my right. So, want to thank the staff, all of you, the community, the students, everyone who gave us the space to engage them and solicit input and feedback for developing the leadership profile, which we'll review this evening with you, and also the synopsis, the summary report from all of the collective feedback. So I don't want to assume that you've had a chance, because I know everyone's been busy this evening and during the day, but don't want to make any assumptions that you've had an opportunity to review the two documents that we've provided, but that's in essence what we'll go through tonight. So we're going to start with the summary report, entertain any questions or any feedback or specific input that you have with regards to that report. And that's really just a public-facing document. That is an overview, a synthesized version of everything that we've heard from the stakeholders, from all of you as trustees, the staff, the students, the community members, Dr. Flores, Dr. Hatton, who isn't here this evening, Dr. Leba, and Dr. Davis, 4 consultants, plus myself, of course, engaged at different levels across the community over the course of the past 3 weeks. So we've had a very rich and robust conversation or conversations, if you will, with various groups. So I'll just open the floor to answer any specific questions you might have while I open the document. And I don't know if we want to show this on the screen so that those that are in the audience can see what we're discussing up to the board, but I'll defer to you guys. Okay, that's fine. So we can just start, I guess, then with any questions, if there are any. Have you had an opportunity to review the summary report? And if not, I can provide just a quick overview of what that entails, if that would be the preference of the board.
Morales?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Nahad.
I would appreciate, certainly since the audience doesn't have a copy of what we're looking at, if Mr. Guerra would just provide a summary.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So there are a few facets related to the summary report. One, again, it's all in the spirit of engaging the community, getting input and feedback. And the sole intention of the summary report is to develop the leadership profile, which in turn will be the application that we intend to open tomorrow at the will of the board if we're given that direction. So what we are trying to represent and illustrate are the voices of everyone that we've heard from, the trustees individually, the staff, the community members, and even the students who provided input and feedback. Also inclusive within the summary report is the data and the feedback that references the online surveys that were conducted both in English and in Spanish. So just jumping right into it, we've conducted 15 community-based meetings, which include, of course, the staff, the students, community organizations. We did that both in person, virtually, telephonically, Zoom, et cetera, during the course of the past 3 weeks or so. We started November 15th and concluded last week, December the 9th, where Dr. Leyva and Dr. Davis were here in person conducting town hall meetings, both in English and in Spanish. We had a total of 3 town hall meetings. So the communication channels and priorities that we'd like to recommend to establish as a foundation, we're going to continue, for the public's sake and transparency's sake, continue to update the district's webpage, or the webpage on the district's website, so that way everyone understands where we are in each major milestone of the process. We'll continue to update the public, the community, through various media outlets, whether they be Facebook, Twitter, other commonly used platforms across the district. Email updates will begin to happen every Friday by the close of business with each of you as we open the application process. We'll be able to disclose by email how many applicants have applied, how many states are represented in the talent pool, and just a step of where we're headed in the next direction. So those email updates will begin once we open the application process. Automated phone calls and text messages, if that's allowable, through the district's messaging system. Postal communication if necessary. We discussed newspaper, radio, and television inquiries. If we do receive inquiries from any of the local editorials, the point of contact from the executive search firm will be myself, and then we would normally recommend, if it's the will of the board, that Mr. Morales will serve as a board liaison to any inquiries with the media. But he and I will talk before any communication is released, so that way there's continuity and the messaging is consistent between the board and the executive search firm. And we can discuss this momentarily if you'd like. Some other simple recommendations, aside from establishing a consistent message, we'll continue to keep the online surveys open unless you prefer to have those closed. As of December 13th, yesterday, we've received approximately 630 surveys, which is very high considering our standard practice and where we have traditionally historically received surveys. So want to applaud the community for being very active and the staff for communicating that there are surveys accessible for the community's input, because that is, by our standards, a very high response rate. So want to give the staff credit for helping us communicate their surveys that are out there. And they've done an incredible job of helping us stay organized. Lizzie, our chief of staff, actually wanted to applaud your communications department, because the spreadsheet that was developed by your staff, your communications department, set a very high bar for us. So now going forward with our other school board partners, we have a benchmark now of expectations. So just want to throw that out there, that your communications department has done an exceptional job. So we do greatly appreciate that. What you'll see next in this document, and just so the public is aware, today we're presenting the formal scope of work, which will be the next document we review together. Application portal, again, if it's the will of the board, our hope is that we can open the application tomorrow, and the application will run through January the 13th. We'll begin the screening during this time frame and vetting candidates. We'll return to present the candidates and all of the artifacts that are provided and required in the application packet on January the 18th. So myself, Dr. Flores, and other members of the team will be here in person, and we'll present all of the candidates, not just a few candidates, but all of the candidates in a working closed session with the Board of Trustees. And then at that point, we'll determine the interview schedule. So the next major milestone when you will see us again after the new year and after the holiday season will be January the 18th. Just again, to revert back to a synopsis and overview, there are 4 objectives that the executive search firm would propose in terms of considerations as points of pride, but also emphasis. So the first being, we'll continue to serve the academic needs of all students, including expanded learning opportunities, community engagement with clear and concise communication. So ongoing community engagement, intentional focus to implement a renewed plan to galvanize the district and community. So a continuous cycle of galvanizing the district and the community as one. School board and superintendent collaboration. So with your incoming superintendent, the ideas and the recommendation would be to encourage the incoming superintendent to create a 90-day entry plan. So a point of attack. Typically, we refer to this as a listening and learning tour, where he or she, whomever that may be, will work closely with the Board of Trustees, the community, the staff, the students, and engage in similar to what our team has done by way of engaging the community. But do that for a period of time so that way the foundation is set and that you're establishing a good working rapport. And perhaps even a board retreat or some sort of board retreat and superintendent retreat where you're establishing that rapport, that foundation with your new superintendent. So these are recommendations that we've included in the summary report. And the outcome, the goals, the objective, again, is you're going to establish continuous improvement of academic performance, maintain the high expectations, the standards that the Socorro ISD has already established as an A-rated district. Implement new strategies for communication to grow productive district relations, promote community inclusion and consistent messaging for all, and again, just engaging new and existing community partners in the spirit of galvanizing support during these challenging times related to COVID and the pandemic. So the next page that you have before you, it's a comprehensive overview of what we consider the 3 primary pillars of the different stakeholder meetings. The first being the trustees, the second being the staff, and that's all staff, not just central office staff, but your site-based staff, teachers, those that were involved in providing input and feedback, and also from the online survey. So both are in-person meetings, virtual and online surveys. And then the last but not least is the community. So all encompassing. So we have 3 tiers: trustees, the staff, all staff, certified, classified, community as a whole. The bullets that you see there in those 3 columns, the intention is to show where there's alignment. So as we interviewed each of you and got your collective input and feedback, you'll see that there's a lot of synergy across the 3 pillars. For example, the first bullet, seeking a transparent and collaborative superintendent who communicates effectively, bilingual preferred. You'll see that same theme in those other 3 pillars, right? So it's a very consistent theme, and that's the intention of the stakeholder meetings, is that we can show alignment where there's synergy, not only across your community, but both internally and across the Board of Trustees collectively. Some other topics that I'll call attention to, and won't go through these verbatim, but just to give the community and those that are listening to my update, Open to a national search, but wants an experienced educator with a strong academic background, understands the role of governance with an expectation of excellence across the organization. We've heard quite a bit and considerable attention to that detail. An experienced practitioner, someone who has started their career as an educator, who has ascended very similar to what my colleagues, all 4 of the retired superintendents that are serving in this capacity, those who have ascended to the top. Somebody who has a knowledge base of this geographic locale of Texas, who understands the culture of El Paso and the greater El Paso area, who understands the rich tradition of Socorro ISD. So a lot of these themes you'll see in those 3 tiers. And then this is the perfect segue to the qualifications. So we took all of those words that we've heard from the different stakeholders and incorporated them in a way that creates the leadership profile. As I said all along, these bullet points will serve as a North Star. So they're going to be our guide. They'll be our rubric, if you will, when we start to vet and screen the candidates, when we present the candidates to you. Our goal as your executive search firm is to identify the candidates that most closely align to these various bullets. Okay, so the bullets that you see before you will be included in the application packet. It's the first page that opens the application, which we'll go through in the next overview. But the first bullet, again, going back to those words that you heard a moment ago, a career educator with executive level leadership experience, preferably 5 or more years of experience, doctoral degree preferred. The 5 or more years is typically used as a benchmark for districts this size. So it's not necessarily rooted in a numeric value as much as it is the size of a district comparable to Socorro ISD, because much of what we heard is we want a superintendent who has similar experience serving in a district comparable in size, comparable in demographic, comparable in culture and values and norms, all of those assets alike. A thoughtful leader who can build consensus yet make and take responsibility for difficult decisions that are in the best interest of all students and the district. A proven instructional leader with a track record of success, proving academic growth for all students, A visionary leader who builds strengths and relationships within the community with local institutions and affiliations. A progressive leader who is committed to serving the district and community for the long term. And I'll end with that bullet, and then I'll entertain any questions about the summary report. But our goal as a firm is always and will always be long-term commitment. We want the incoming superintendent to carry on the rich traditions here, sustain success, grow success as the district continues to grow and thrive during these challenging times. You know, our education system is what will assure us in our democracy and the success of our students in public education to have that long-term commitment. And so if any candidate were to disclose to me, to our colleagues on the team, that they intend to use this as a short stop in their career path, we'll be the first to say thanks, but no thanks. We want long-term commitment. Socorro ISD deserves the very best. So I'll pause there. The last piece there is just the standard advertising plan that we will incorporate. We're going to cast a very wide net to recruit talent, not only locally in Texas, but from afar. As I stated early on, there are plenty of Texas-based practitioners who have cut their teeth here in Texas, but are now serving in large, complex systems across the country. But like most of us, we always want to return home, right? I mean, we're all Texans. For the most part, we'd like to be in Texas. So there's a lot of demand and desire to return to this great state. So I'll pause there. If there are any questions about the summary report, I would certainly want to answer those at this time.
Got a question by Ms. Cynthia Nahara.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Mr. Guerra, I did have a question. I noticed on here it says only the lone finalist will be revealed. The last time we went through a superintendent search, we held interviews with our communities and staff and parents and students with the top three
Yes,
candidates. And me personally as a board member, that was an extremely valuable tool to hear how this candidate related to each of our different community members, whether it was parents or staff or students. Will we be able to do that?
At the will of the board, I'll say yes. Our recommendation would be no, and I'll share reasons why we would recommend not to have more than one candidate announced as you select your lone finalists. Imagine a sitting superintendent, and I'll use Dr. Flores, right? Recently retired superintendent from Round Rock ISD. If you're a seasoned, experienced sitting superintendent in another large suburban district very similar to Socorro ISD, should he or she not be hired to represent you and serve you full-time as your lone finalist, he or she who is returning home, who is not hired to serve as the next Socorro ISD superintendent, could in theory jeopardize their good standing with their current employer. By the state of Texas, our statutes of limitations do not require by law that we conduct interviews publicly with not just 3 or 2 candidates, but any of the candidates. So your talent pool will actually deepen and grow and expand if the candidates know that the executive search for the superintendent will remain confidential, which is why you rarely ever see a school board in a school district in the state of Texas ever conduct their superintendent searches publicly. In fact, just this past weekend, we were hired by the San Antonio ISD school board, and they asked the very same question. They went through the same experience that you did, that you're referencing. But what they observed, and I'm just comparing because they had the similar experience, it impacted in a very adverse way their superintendent search process. And in hindsight, if they could go back in time, they wouldn't do that again. Now, other states like Florida, Louisiana, the state of Nevada, they do have open meeting laws, in which we refer to as the Sunshine Law. By law, they are obligated to do everything publicly. I will tell you, though, I'm going to be frank and blunt and publicly on the record. If we declare that we're going to have an open process with the, let's just say, the top 2 or 3 candidates, your talent pool will diminish, let's just say, from 50 to down to close to 20. Sitting superintendents will not want to put themselves in jeopardy of losing their employment status with their current employer if they're a sitting superintendent. Now, aspiring superintendents have less to, it's not as much to lose, I should say, because they are looking to ascend to the top of the pyramid, if you will. But if you're a sitting superintendent, I can tell you it puts you in a very compromising situation should you not be hired. But again, the will of the board, if that's your choice, we'll work with it. But I would tell you, and I'm speaking on behalf of my team, I don't know if you would agree, Dr. Flores, but I'm pretty confident everyone on my team would agree with me.
That decision by.
We don't have to decide that until we vet and review the candidates together. But what I would say, if we're approving the superintendent profile tonight and it goes public tomorrow for candidates to apply, we'll have to remove that language if that's something that the board prefers to do. It's a fair question. Yeah,
it is, and I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever to anyone who would want to apply, but if they're applying for a different position, they can't be real happy at the one that they're at. And we're supposed to protect their anonymity.
Anonymity, yes, ma'am. And I think the real magic for our firm and why we are so successful, and as I like to use a baseball analogy, since we're honoring football, a solid football team this evening, I'll use a baseball analogy. We're batting 1,000, so we have a 100% success rate in recruiting superintendents. And so we don't intend to fail ever, or now for that matter with Socorro ISD. And putting the language in there that says this will be an open search will just diminish the depth of the talent pool. I can 100% guarantee that. Aside from that, we want to recruit talent that aren't necessarily looking to leave their current employer, not running away from something, but rather running towards something. And in this role, the magic for us is to recruit successful sitting superintendents who aren't looking for a job. So the ones who are looking to apply sometimes and just automatically apply just immediately, sometimes, I'm not saying all, I'm saying sometimes, so I want to put a caveat to that, are running from something. And we need to recruit people that are satisfied in their current role and what I say poach them from their respective employers. I know it's a lot to consider, but that is the nature of the discussion and the impetus for what could happen if we choose to remove that language. Now, again, we're going to respect whatever the wish of the board is, but I do want you to go into this understanding that the talent pool, I can guarantee you, will diminish if we don't do this as a function of the board. You have one employee in the superintendent. You have the opportunity to vet and screen everybody behind closed doors. My professional recommendation is to do so. But if you want to do public interviewing and make that public, we have to be forthcoming with the candidates and let them know. And, you know, that's just something that we'll have to decide together collectively. But I say we, the board.
Go ahead, Mr. Nahara. You had a question? Or
just a comment. I think I'd rather just be silent as to whether that's a possibility or not. I mean, I certainly understand if a sitting superintendent were to apply to the position and they were a leading candidate, you know, I certainly understand why they would not need to be revealed. And if we were to have a lone finalist, then, you know, I think that's something that we consider. And, you know, if we tell that lone superintendent that we want a public, you know, forum for the community to be able to engage with them, and then at that time, before we reveal anything, you know, that sitting superintendent can choose to withdraw and they remain confidential, right? But if we have aspiring superintendents, and, you know, I based on previous experience, it is during, I'll tell you what, look, I can shine for an hour, I can shine for 2 hours, I can, you know, act with the best of them, I guess, but is under the stress, and I'm not just saying me, what I'm trying to be very, very specific about is that during our last superintendent search, when we had 3 leading candidates, it was clear to see who fell apart during, you know, the duress of having to discuss and answer questions and really be, you know, you could tell who was thoughtful, who was speaking from experience, who understood the situation, and, you know, who was caught by surprise with the question. And I imagine that many times any leader is going to be caught by surprise, and are you going to sit there and be pensive about the situation? Are you going to be, you know, what is your answer when it comes to critical thinking versus, oh, I'm just going to shoot from the cuff here, and all of a sudden you think, oh my God, this is the person that we're going to hire? So I would rather be silent to the option so that we can decide at a later time, rather than, you know, say that we're not going to, and then all we get is aspiring superintendents, and, you know, as a board we think, well, okay, let's present these folks to our community, and we no longer have that option. Or we turn around and say, well, now we're going to take that option, and basically we've lied to the applicant. So, you know, if we're just silent to it, then it's always an option. But on the flip side, like I said, if it is, you know, and I can't think of, you know, someone who you know, would be, I don't know, a great leader right now. I can't even think of someone that everybody would say, yes, that's a great leader. You know, if we got someone of an amazing caliber and they said, yeah, I want this opportunity, I think I can, you know, take it, but certainly understand that, you know, okay, if my name is mentioned in the hat, then I have compromised my position where I'm at. And not so much because, I mean, you know, people chase opportunities for different reasons, not just because they're unhappy, but because some people like to rise to the challenge. You know, they research the opportunities, they, you know, evaluate the profile of the district, and they might think, you know what, that's a great district, but I think I can make a difference. I think I could advance it even further. Or more so, people think that's a great district, but let me show them how it can get better. You know, and they rise to the challenge, they pursue the opportunity. Yeah. So if it's an existing superintendent, I certainly, you know, agree with that, and I think that as a board, we would respect that. And, you know, by the same token, if we at that time decide, no, you know what, we want to make it public, then, you know, that's the risk that we take, and that candidate that we're pursuing at that point could, you know, choose to rescind their application, and then we wouldn't reveal them. That would be my option, or that would be my desire, because, again, it made a significant difference if certainly, I am absolutely positive without question it made a big difference in our last search, I think it made a big difference in the one before that. That's okay. The community engagement.
Sure. Sure. And I respect that, Trustee Nahara. And we are sensitive to the public's interest and your staff and the students' interest to get to know the candidates. I mean, we do recognize that there is a strong desire to get to know the candidates. That's not lost on us. So I don't want to create any illusions that I'm anti-public involvement. It's not about that at all. It's about the statutes of limitations, our ability to recruit exceptional talent. The same discussion took place when we managed the Houston ISD superintendent search, and that's a very large city. A lot of attention was going into that, especially with the looming state takeover at the time when we were doing that. But we compelled the board and board council there agreed with us, and the school district hired a sitting superintendent from a different state. And they had other strong sitting superintendents from around not only the state of Texas, but the country. And I can assure you, if we would have gone the other direction, they would have lost some really good talent, and perhaps even their current superintendent. But I don't have a crystal ball. I can just tell you based on other states, because most recently we conducted a superintendent search for the second largest district in Louisiana, about the same size as student enrollment as Socorro ISD. They had maybe 20 applicants, whereas we did a superintendent search for Lamar Consolidated, which is comparable in size. They had approximately 50 applicants. So you see, that's a pretty big delta. That's a 30 candidate swing from one to the other. And I anticipate that would happen here. But again, it's entirely up to the board. Whatever you choose to do, we will respect and honor your wishes. But I do appreciate the feedback and the input.
I have a quick comment.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I think the confidentiality is extremely important. If we're looking at a pool of 50 of the top best, we owe it to our community. I really believe that. Whereas if we're going to go ahead and cut that to 20, I think we're doing an injustice to our community. I really believe that. And I have to say that we've hired your firm to help guide us, and we have to trust your judgment and your experience. And we do know that you have a great track record, and what you've done also in the last few, I guess, superintendent searches, they've all seem to have been very successful. So with that said, I think that I hope I'm not alone, but I feel that we need to have give our community every opportunity in the world to get the best we can find.
Thank you, sir. And what I would also offer, and just as a recommendation, whenever he or she is hired, whomever that may be, the lone finalist, during the 21-day period, contractually, there's another statute. So once you name your lone finalist, the clock begins ticking. There's a 21-day holdover period. He or she can begin working with the district, working with all of you in the community, get acclimated to the community, begin working with the staff and the students, and that'll actually occur before the end of this school year. So that person will have an opportunity to work, let's just say per diem, 2 or 3 days out of the week, and have an opportunity during the remaining months of the school year to get familiarized with all the inner workings of the district, the community, et cetera, and then even have the summer months to further acclimate himself or herself. And then by the next calendar school year, 2022, 2023, that's a blue ocean. You have an opportunity to really hit the ground running. So there is an opportunity during the 21-day period also for the incoming superintendent to work on a per diem schedule, whatever that looks like. But that has always been our recommendation as well. Mr. House did it in Houston ISD. Dr. Scribner did it in Fort Worth ISD when he was moving from Arizona to Fort Worth. Mr. House from Tennessee to Houston. So there will be ample opportunity to get the community involved with the incoming superintendent. I mentioned that 90-day entry, that listening and learning tour. They're going to spend more time out in the community rather than in their office. That's if they're following the recommendations, and where we've seen incoming superintendents have significant success. So I appreciate your remarks on both sides of the dais so far.
I also agree that we shouldn't limit the talent pool, and we should take full advantage. That's why you guys were hired.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Any other comments?
With respect to the summary? Okay, so we can make this a public-facing document. I mean, we are presenting it publicly, but if it's the will of the board, we can add this document to our superintendent search page. So folks have like kind of treat it like a frequently asked questions, if you will. So add the document there for visibility's sake. I can ask the communications department to upload that there to the web page. And then the next document, if we may go on, because I know you have a packed agenda, I'd like to review the leadership profile. So it appears right now, and my understanding, kind of just the commentary, that we'll keep the language as it is. We'll revisit it later if the direction changes. Does that sound fair? Okay, because we don't have to make that concrete decision this very moment, but I just want to go on record to state why we would feel differently about removing the lone finalist language. Okay, so the first page, it starts with the synopsis from actually your About Us link included on the district's website. So I took a little bit of that information, included your vision, your mission statement. This is what will be public facing in all advertising channels that we use. Not only our website, which all advertisements will redirect to jgconsulting.us. So anything that becomes public facing, whether it's the Texas Association of School Administrators, Human Capital Recruitment Center, AASA, the American Association of School Administrators, ALAS, the Association of Latino Administrators, Superintendents, etc. All of our standard national recruiting entities will redirect to my firm's website. So this application leadership profile will be visible there. The one thing that I do want to invite input and feedback is the second page, which starts with, "This is a confidential search. Only the lone finalists will be revealed." If there are any bullets that you feel need to be modified, revised, Dr. Flores and myself can, in real time right now, edit this, and then we can update it tomorrow before it goes out, and I'll share it one last time with the board for final approval. But if there's anything that we're missing, anything you'd like to be reworded, wordsmith, if you will, please let us know so that way we can make the appropriate changes. So I'll pause and just give you a moment to kind of review that and ask questions if you think we're missing something or you need clarity.
A quick question, Mr. Guerra.
Yes, sir.
Would it be a disadvantage for the fact that tomorrow, if we do decide to move, that during the holidays, that would take time away from those individuals that, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
What's your thought on that?
It's a great question, but it actually works to our advantage to begin the recruitment now while people have time off, to pay attention to what opportunities are available to consider. Because if you're planning to transition, it's an ideal time now, especially if you're a sitting superintendent, because you have the new year beginning, but the calendar school year effectively ends after next semester. The other thing I will share with you just to consider, just in these past two days, the last 48 hours, 2 sizable school district superintendents have resigned and 1 has retired in other urban settings. So we want to get ahead of the curve. I mentioned that we were recently hired by San Antonio ISD over the weekend. The question they asked for us was kind of in line with what you just asked, sir, about how is this going to overlap with the work that we'll be doing there. We're ahead of the curve, so it's a perfect time for us. And also, I'll end with this as part of my answer. The TASA Midwinter Conference that we hold annually in Austin is taking place next month in January. And so all of the aspiring superintendents, key central administrators, sitting superintendents in the state of Texas will be in Austin attending the annual conference. So myself, Dr. Flores, my entire team of practitioners all across the state will convene in Austin, and gives us ample time to recruit in person at the conference. And also AASA is coming up rather quickly, we'll have an opportunity for two, not only our state conference, but our national conference. So we get ample time right now to vet, screen, and recruit. And not to mention, candidates are really just chomping at the bit, waiting for this application to open. I've been getting phone calls, text messages, emails. When is Socorro going to open? When is it going to open? We got our materials ready, which is a good sign that, you know, there's genuine and strong interest.
Another quick question. I've had some calls from individuals. I have not taken them. I don't know what the rule is as far as that. I feel that I would jeopardize them or myself, so I just basically don't take the call. Is that the proper protocol? I'm not sure.
So great. I'm glad. Thank you for bringing this up publicly. So should any of you on the board across the dais receive a phone call, an inquiry from a candidate who is interested to serve as your superintendent, simply state in an email or a response, however you will, in writing that we've retained the service of JG Consulting. Please refer to their website. The application is open there. The consultants assigned to serve Socorro ISD are listed on the application. I'm listed there, Dr. Flores' personal information, and Dr. Leba. So we're the three primary consultants. There are others behind the scenes and our full-time staff, but as far as any communication with the firm on behalf of this opportunity, will go through me, Dr. Flores, and Dr. Leba. Thank you for asking that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Mr.
The background check and the fingerprints, that's going to run through the national database, right? Not just through the state?
That's correct. So we engage with the firm by the name of Baker Eubanks, LLC. Their sole purpose as an organization is to conduct thorough background checks. Not only do they do the Department of Justice, all of the criminal history checks, wherever he or she may have lived in their respective careers and personal lives, all of those databases are checked. And then we'll even do social media scrubs as well. And when I say scrubs, checking, Facebook's, Twitter, Instagram for any perhaps problematic areas that you need to be aware of. And then when they also verify academic credentials. So we require that all of the candidates provide us with their academic transcripts, which each of you will have access to, including the background checks. So we verify academic credentials as well. So I joke that if Jacques Cousteau dropped a treasure chest in the bottom of the Gulf, this firm would find that treasure chest. I mean, they're that good. We've been working with them for the entirety of the operation of our firm.
Okay. Thank you.
Further questions?
And you'll see also there's a verification form at the end of this packet where the candidates are required to initial and then sign. So if a candidate does not initial in any one of those line items, they're required to write a statement of why they did not initial there. So that way we are aware and they are forthcoming with us that there's whatever impropriety there may be. So that way no stone goes unturned. And again, to my comment earlier about recruiting talent that have a track record of success, they're not running from something, but rather towards something. Those are the types of candidates that we're gonna bring to you. So some of these areas you'll see will remain to be determined. Page 2, there's a highlight at the bottom. The lone finalists will be named on, and there's a blank there. That's because we haven't identified what date you wish to name your lone finalist. Once we have the interviews, both rounds 1 and 2, we'll determine a date where you wish to call either a special board meeting or host or invite the candidate during a regular board meeting. But we can decide that later. It's typically done as we get further down the line in the process. The following page has another highlighted area where it says URL. That's the unique web page that we will create for the application. So once this goes public, there's a unique page that our technology director will create on our website, and then that'll be linked to all the advertisements. And then the application deadline, if you're okay with January the 13th, we'll keep that deadline as such. That gives us a full 30 days, calendar days to recruit. And then the other standard language there, you can see applicants in bold are not to contact any members of the board. So they're directed to contact us. But if you get a call, a text, an email, please just give them our information. You can see that my info, Dr. Flores and Dr. Leba both included Then you have your standard legal language and verbiage included, the verification form. So when we present the candidates, as a reminder, what you will have in front of you, each of you will be given an iPad with all of the artifacts, the letters of interest, the resumes, academic transcripts, references, uploaded to that document. One very unique and cool thing that we just introduced this month, we're also taking it a step further in the vetting process, which I think is going to appease some of the concerns you have about some of the public input. We've now subscribed to what we call, or what is called, the Wonderlic assessment. So if you've ever heard of the Wonderlic test, you've probably heard of it because the NFL players take this assessment when they're first entering the NFL as a professional football player. But the Wonderlic assessment is even more robust than that now. It tests things such as your cognitive ability, your personality, and then there's a third area of focus. My firm has subscribed to this as an additional tool to help us differentiate ourselves, but also to give us a better sense of the candidates. So when we present the candidates to you, each of them are going to have to take this 45-minute assessment in addition to the on-demand interview. And it's going to show you as a board in green, light green, or yellow whether they're strong, they're perhaps just right at the baseline of what's needed, or yellow, which they consider cautionary. So it's going to give you a sense of not only their experience as a practitioner or a professional, but also whether or not they really, in terms of their personality, their cognitive abilities align to the leadership profile that we developed. So that's another added value. And we incur the cost for that. So it's part of our fee. There's no additional cost to it, but I wanted to publicly inform you that that's a new attribute that we just added 2 weeks ago to our process. And so I'll pause there if there are any other questions too.
Go ahead, Ms.
Ms.
Nahan.
Morales, Mr. Guetta, I appreciate your explanation about the lone finalist. I personally do not agree with that, because by doing that, we are removing our community's ability to have input on our finalists. I personally think that's wrong. Like I said, last time we hired a superintendent, it was extremely valuable. And I don't agree with it, but that's my opinion.
Okay.
But thank you for the explanation.
Yes, ma'am. And we respect, again, we're sensitive to all of the optics and what your community wants to participate in. And again, we're looking at it from both, through both lenses, for the candidate and for the board. You know, we work at the will of the board, as you'll hear me say over and over again. So we just want to be very mindful of your success. As a district, your success is our success. And so we want to be very forthright when it comes to our professional opinion. But thank you for the question, and really just everyone has been amazing and wonderful to work with up to this point. So I can't begin to thank your staff, all of you, for giving us the space to do what we do best and engendering trust in our process. You know, we are here to represent you. So I want to take the time, if there's still any doubt, concerns. You know, we're eager to get this posted. We'll refine it tonight with removing some of the highlighted areas, but I think we're ready to go if it's the will of the board. If we may have your blessing tonight, Dr. Flores and I will begin the process immediately. There's no formal action, by the way, that needs to be taken. It's just more of us informing and getting input and feedback if there are any changes.
This time, can we go ahead and advance, go ahead and pursue, or proceed, I should say? Yeah?
Be a motion, right?
Do we need a?
Because the way it's written on the agenda?
It is posted for possible action. If you want to give Mr. Guetta's firm direction on those items, you can. You can do it by motion. So I don't know what the board wants to do, and it sounds like the only issue is the lone finalist language that's currently included. I think you made a good point. You can leave it there for now, have this posted and issued, and then if the board decides as you whittle down the candidates to make a determination that you want community interviews and input, you can advise them at that time, and they can withdraw. That's up to the individual. If I'm a sitting superintendent and you say, hey, in order to advance, you're one of 3 or one of 5, you're going to have to sit for community interviews, and we're going to have to notify the public of who you are, I could withdraw at that point in time. So I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to go forward. That's up to you all.
Motion to proceed is recommended by Mr. Guerra and his firm.
Second.
A motion is made by Mr. Michael Nahara and a second by Mr. Castellano. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you, everyone. Again, thanks to everyone involved in the process. Want to wish you a very happy holiday season. Please stay safe. You have our contact information should anything arise. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I will notify all of you once the application is officially posted so that you may see it for yourself. But again, want to wish you the best, and thanks to everyone who's been a part of the process. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a safe trip home. God bless. We're going to move to item 7, open forum. We have no speakers tonight, so therefore we're going to go ahead and move over to item 8, district reports. Item 8A, facility reports. Mr. Tom Ianton, please, if you would, the presenter.
Good evening. President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Kimona, members of the board. My presentation will begin on page 9 of your booklet. Beginning with Socorro High School, we are moving along with that. The second phase, or the total project, is approaching almost over 66% complete. We are still working on punch list items on phase 1, and we are moving into phase 2, which has a lot of the demolition going on, and now we're into interior framing and drywall, and we're working underground on buildings A, B, and D, which is the new fine arts area, and then of course the roofing is going on along with the landscaping. Here you can see on the my left-hand side, we have expanded into the area where the old building used to sit, and now it's going to be the new construction in phase 2. You can see that we are still working on some of the athletics area around the perimeter of the building. You can see on the left-hand side, we have expanded our student parking. The area that is darker in the black where all the cars are, that is the new expanded parking area that essentially doubles the student parking. That was the staging areas during the first phases of the construction. And then you can see that we are working on the inside and working to continue to remodel hallways and working on the fine arts area. And then this shows that we are, a lot of the CMU, the block work is going up in the orchestra and choir area. And you can see that we're working on demo some of the existing, top of the existing gym. More pictures of the fly loft, which is the new stage area for the auditorium, and then the fine arts area. Auditorium, the ensembles rooms, and then we moving into Montwood High School. Montwood High School is in its final stages. We are in the process of punching it out and doing our closeout documents, and it's approaching over 93% complete. The next phase, the next project is America's High School. We are into almost 90% complete on the area. We have occupied a lot of the existing area, and we're working in the culinary arts, dressing room, and drama rooms. As you can see, these are completion pictures of the aerial, and of the addition that is facing Pelicano. And then we move into the fine arts area along with the culinary arts area, which we are currently working on, doing a lot of finish work, tile work, as you can see in the flooring and the wall tile in the culinary kitchen area. And the improvements of the drama room and our book room. New dressing rooms in the same area in the fine arts. And then we move to El Dorado High School. El Dorado High School is approaching over 90% complete. We are working on various areas. A lot of finishes is going on the building. A lot of the sheetrock, ceiling, acoustical tile, the grids are going up in the areas. The new dance room, flooring's down, and then we got the gallery wing for the architectural area. And of course, our kitchen area is expanded, and then we have the rooms that will serve the new architectural program. The student activity complex, we are in the process of getting the contract signed, and we will release the notice to proceed to the general contractor as soon as the contracts are signed, and the pre-construction meeting will be held after the first of the year when we come back from the break. And of course, this is what the fine arts facility, the new SAC area will eventually look like 2 years from the notice to proceed. Our auxiliary gyms are coming along. Phase 1 is completed. Phase 2, we have occupied all of those campuses. We are working on both Phase 1 and Phase 2 closeout. We're approaching almost 100% completion on Phase 2. The auxiliary gyms in Phase 3, these are Phase 2 pictures of the existing, the auxiliary gyms at the 5 campuses. On Package 3, tomorrow we are going to walk the HD Hilly, Escontrias, and Rojas to start to accept those, and we will be able to turn those over to those 3 campuses when we come back from the break. Here are the Campestre and Escontrias, Hilly, and Waco, and then Rojas. The other 2 will follow shortly after that. Contractually, we have until the end of January to finish Phase 3 auxiliary gyms. The support service building, it's 98% complete. We are still working on the closeout. We're doing testing and training of the equipment is ongoing, and we are working on the closeout documents. Along with Pebble Hills High School, that project is complete. We're working on the closeout documents. Along with East Lake High School, we're working on the closeout documents and should have those 3 projects closed out shortly after the first of the year. The new combo school, it's approaching almost 70% complete. A lot of construction is going on there. Of course, I have informed y'all that we are focusing on the elementary school for its opening of July of 2022, and then the middle school will be completed December of 22 with the opening of July of 23. And then here you can see the aerial of the combo school. The portion on the right-hand side that's predominantly white, majority of that is the elementary school. And the other half of it on the left-hand side is the middle school, and it's essentially kind of divided in the middle of the screen between the two campuses. So you can see we are approaching, closing in the building and doing a lot of interior finish work. As these pictures will show you, we got tile going up in the hallways and the restrooms, and the corridors are going down in the elementary, and then of course the bus drop off on the elementary side. Continuing over in the middle school, that work is continuing also. It's not quite as far as the elementary school, but it'll catch up because we are focusing on opening the elementary school, as I stated. Fine Arts Library on the middle schools coming along real well on this project. And then you can see some finishes beginning to go up, and a lot of the rough-in and the mechanical and plumbing going in the ceilings. And then you can see the aerial. The top aerial is looking at the middle school back towards the elementary school, and then you can see that the middle school classrooms are coming along with the first and second floor. The two other projects, I thought I had the maintenance facility, which is going to be next door to this, is in design. I will have drawings and pictures for you to look at those next month. And then the other project is the canopy at the transportation, and those projects are proceeding as per the contract. And that completes my presentation.
Do we have any questions from Mr. Arrington? No. Thank you, Mr. Arrington.
Thank you.
Our next item is a consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be pulled at this time?
Item A.
Item A, okay. 9A, you got it. Okay.
Motion to approve excluding item 9A.
Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Michael Nahara and a second by Ms. Cynthia Nahara. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. We're going to come back to the item that was pulled, item 9A. Consider approval of board meeting minutes for November 16th, 2021 regular board meeting.
I just had a correction on page 26 of the board book. It says amend approved stipend pay schedule. It was just the one item that was approved, and it was not carried unanimously, so we can make that correction. It was just the campus excellence stipend. That's it.
So we're going to go ahead and, do you have a motion on that? Yes, I understand. You're waiting, he's waiting for the next. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
to make the change.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Eddie Mena and a second by Mr. Barrera. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. We got item 10, new business. Consider approval of fiscal year 2022-23 budget priorities and calendar. Our presenter, Mr. Tony Ressa.
Yes, President Morales, Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmona, members of the board. Tonight, the administration is requesting consideration and approval of the 2022-23 proposed budget priorities and calendar. These priorities were developed through the superintendent's cabinet and have been submitted for review and input to several board committees, and we thank you for your questions and comments during these meetings. Please keep in mind that these priorities and calendar are a guide as we move forward. Other district endeavors, other than what's the priorities that are listed, will most likely be included in the budget as well. And by the same token, changes to the calendar may take place should scheduling conflicts arise or if there's any other considerations. Before you is a listing of the priorities that will be included in next year's budget. They are a commensurate general pay increase for all eligible Socorro ISD employees, funding for required positions for Ben Narbuth Elementary School, expansion of the dual language program, and finally, startup funds for Eastlake Middle School, namely funding for 4 positions that are hired prior to the start of the 2023-24 school year. As mentioned, the listed priorities are a starting point, but as we add additional items through the budget process, please keep in mind that we'll inform the board via the upcoming budget workshops. The budget development calendar is presented here. As you can see, we're starting earlier than last year with the budget allocations going out to departments this month. This will allow us more time to conduct budget meetings by starting in January and continuing through February. During these meetings, departments are allowed to request additional funding and provide their rationale. These requests are reviewed and then either incorporated into the budget or not. Staffing meetings are scheduled to be conducted in early March. So given that the legislature is not in session this year, the budget workshops will start in February and continue through June. These meetings will include the status of the budget, compensation, and projected property value growth for the district. Our intention is to provide a detailed budget information to the board in May, with the final budget review to take place in early June. Note that our compensation proposal is scheduled to take place during the regularly scheduled May board meeting, as we are conducting a TASB study on wages this year. And then finally, here is the calendar for the adoption of the budget and the tax rate. The budget will be adopted at the regularly scheduled board meeting in June, and the tax rate is scheduled to be adopted in August. Are there any questions?
Just one question. Employee health care, is you making that a priority this year? I know it's been contested in the past, and the increase, the amount of money that.
Yes, sir. The administration is working to see, to review certainly our benefit plan and see what can be done certainly to mitigate some of the cost that have been incurred the last several years. But that is a priority that we're going to look at. And we'll hopefully be conducting some workshops as well during this process.
Okay.
Questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Cynthia Nahara and a second by Mr. Eddie Mena. Without further questions, are all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? And the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rissa. Item 10B, consider approval of the City of El Paso's proposed modifications of the foreign trade zone. Our presenter, Mr. Tom Ianton.
Yes, good evening, President Morales, Interim Superintendent, Dr. Kimona, members of the board. The superintendent office was approached by the foreign trade zone number 68, and we went over this in our facility committee meeting. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Bernard, who is going to be, she is the Federal Trade Zone Coordinator, and she will make a short presentation. We have had this come up a couple of years ago, so this is really nothing new, but.
Good evening, Dr. Carmona, President Morales, and Board of Trustees. My name is Araceli, and we're the foreign trade, so we're asking for a support letter for a minor modification for expediters. Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
Now we can. Thank you.
Okay. Let me see. So the foreign trade zone allows companies to save customs fees, optimize their supply chains, and grow their business, creating more jobs for El Paso. So Expeditors needs some minor boundary modification, a virtual minor modification. That is, a facility is not established in the boundary, so they need to add the facility to the boundary. So we need to send an application to Foreign Trade Zone and the Department of Commerce. But with this, we need a letter of support from Socorro Independent School District. And here is our boundaries that we cover: Foreign Trade 68, and we're from El Paso County all the way to Tornillo. The red is our service areas map, and then we have the green are the virtuals that we have at the moment. And this is for the two port of entries, the El Paso port and the Isleta port of entry. So that's Expeditors right now is requesting for a subzone. They already have one, so that's why it's a subzone, and it's on 1401 Pullman Drive, which for 24.318 acres. Oh, I'm sorry, let me change it. There you go. And that's it. And that's a map where it's located at on Pullman Drive. And that's basically it. Any questions you might have for us?
Go ahead, Mr. Michael.
Ms. Bernard, right?
Correct.
So Ms. Bernard and maybe Mr. Blanco, not sure who the question to, but basically what I've read about the FTZs, foreign trade zones, really there's no impact to us, whether it be physical, tax base wise, or anything else. This is simply the ability for this organization who is importing goods to receive some benefits from customs, basically expediting the imports, and to delay, just depending on where the item eventually will end up, duties, federal and state taxes, but really no impact to us, right?
No, correct. It just will increase, you get more jobs.
Motion to approve the item and issue the letter of support.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Michael Nahara and a second by Mr. Castellano. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
We have the next item, 10C. Consider approval of Terracon for construction materials testing for the SAC 2 facilities. We've got our presenter again, Mr. Tom Ianton. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. As in the past couple of board meetings, we have been brought construction material testing to you for approval. This is again, since we're going to start on the new SAC number 2, we will require third-party testing, which is required on all construction projects. And Interlock, or PSI, has estimated that the services will be in the amount of $338,600. HKS, the architects, and Baines General Contractors has reviewed, excuse me, I got a typo there. It should be Terracon. It should not Interlock PSI. It should be Terracon, excuse me, in the amount of $338,600 for the construction material testing for SAC number 2. Administration recommends approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Mena and a second by Mr. Paul Guerra. All those in favor?
Question.
Well, we have a question here. Let's hold off here. Go ahead, sir.
Blanco, the correction on the agenda, do we need to note that the correction needs to be made, or can we just vote since Mr. Ianton has stated it?
It's actually in the description. It mentions Interact, but at the very end it says Terracon scope of work, and the attachment has Terracon.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Then we had a motion by Mr. Eddie Mena and a second by Mr. Paul Guerra. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ianton.
Yeah, I do apologize for that typo. I got the next one too.
And you got the next one as well. Yes, sir.
Actually, I'm going to turn this over to our legal counsel. If you recall, a couple of months ago, or maybe even last month, we had two entities, people bring forward about selling alcoholic beverages that are close to our schools. One of those, Mr. Blanco will explain, has we didn't act on it because it wasn't necessary. However, they are submitted again, and he'll explain.
And for the record, I'll go ahead and state that for the public. 10D, consider approval of Las Vacas Meat Market and Kitchen request for a property maintenance and zoning division correction notice. Go ahead, Mr. Blanco.
Thank you. So Mr. Arrington just mentioned that at our last meeting, there were two of these, and I think actually Mr. Nahara pointed out that from his familiarity with that area, that he realized that Lavacas was actually, should have been within the zone that would allow the district to issue a letter of support or objection to the sale of alcoholic beverages, but the City Planning and Zoning Commission had indicated that they were not. They've gone back. When we told them we didn't act on it because your paperwork indicated that you were outside of the 300-foot zone area, they said that's wrong, and so they went back to the city, they corrected the paperwork, and so they are now back asking for the district to issue a letter of no objection to the sale of alcoholic beverages on that premises. It's Lavacas Meat Market and Kitchen. The other one was a bar. So it's been something that we've been consistent with. There's not really, that I'm aware of, a reason to object to their request. They're asking for the support of the district because it helps them with the Planning and Zoning Commission to secure those licenses. So the letter's been prepared. It's the same as the other letter that we sent out for the other entity last month, and they're asking us to issue one in their favor as well. We recommend that you do so, and it would be to authorize Mr. Arrington to sign a letter of no objection to allow for Lavacas Meat Market and Kitchen to sell alcoholic beverages on that property.
Motion to approve letter.
Got a motion to approve and by Mr. Eddie Mena and a second by Mr. Castellano. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Blanco.
Thank you.
And finally, our item 10E, discussion and possible action regarding Far West Texas School Boards Association Coordinating Committee. This would be myself. Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about what the Far West School Boards Association is. The purpose of the Far West Texas School Boards Association is to identify current problems of concern to Far West Texas school districts, to disseminate information and analyze to members, and to promote the exchange of information and analysis among members, to provide a forum for the consideration of problems facing Far West Texas school districts, to promote quality education in the member schools, in the member school districts, to provide growth opportunities to all regional school board members and potential school board members, and to provide a forum with state legislators and school board members for the purpose of providing and receiving information and sharing educational concerns. At this time, the Far West Texas School Boards Association requests that each district choose one representative and one alternate to be part of the coordinating committee.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Cynthia Nagra to be the alternate.
We need a representative, the representative?
To represent, Ms.
Okay.
Cynthia Nagra to represent.
And we'll also need an alternate. Sorry. We can, yeah, we can do it together. Do we have an alternate? Somebody? Mr. Menon, would you be wanting to be?
Mr. Mena be alternate?
Are you gonna?
Okay.
Include
So,
that in your motion.
motion to nominate Ms. Cindy Nahera as the representative and Mr. Eddie Mena as the alternate.
Second. There you go.
We got a motion by Mr. Michael Nahara and a second by Mr. Eddie Mena.
No. Seconded by Mr.
Oh,
Guerra.
by Mr. Paul Guerra. I can't, exactly. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. And finally, we have executive session, item 11. The meeting is to be closed for consideration with legal counsel regarding the status of J. Hamilton's versus SISD, cause number 2016 DVC C-1566, to consider level 3 grievances appeal filed by CD, to discuss personnel and real estate matters, and to consider administrative recommendations for assistant principal position of Walter E. Clark Middle School under Texas Government Code Service, sections 551.071, .551.072, and 551.074. The time we're going to go to executive time is 7:46. We are back in session. We are back in session. The time is 8:37. New business, A, discussion and possible action regarding options to resolve J. Hamilton versus SISD cause number 2016 DVC 566. Mr. Blanco?
Thank you, Board President Morales, members of the board, Dr. Carmona. I gave you an update on the status of this lawsuit. It is set for trial at the end of January of next year, and I gave you options as part of our discussion on what we might want to do to resolve it or take it to trial. I suggested and I recommend that the administration at least allow us to make an effort to resolve it on the terms that we discussed in closed session, those being confidential. And if the board is inclined to do that, we would need a motion to authorize me to do that.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion by Ms. Cynthia Nahara and a second by Mr. Castellano. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 12B, discussion and possible action regarding the Level 3 grievance appeal filed by CD. Mr. Blanco?
Thank you again. So I gave you an update. This Level 3 grievance was first presented to the board last month. This is the month when you need to make a decision on two items. One is the employee has requested the ability and the opportunity to make an oral presentation to the board. That's the first issue to consider. If the board is not interested in or does not believe an oral presentation is necessary, then you need to decide on what you want to do with the grievance. Your options for that are to take no action, which leaves the decision at Level 3 in place, accept the decision at Level 3, or modify the decision at Level 3. At this point, I'll listen to the board and any motions that you might want to make concerning the grievance.
I'd like to make a motion to allow her to present before the board. I still believe she should present the case.
Second.
Further questions? We have a motion by Mr. Castellano and a second by Mr. Barrera. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
We're going to need a voice vote. I think the best way to do it is just start at the end with Mr. Barrera.
Okay, Mr. Barrera?
Yay.
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
The motion to allow the oral presentation then fails. So the second item with respect to this grievance you need to decide is what you want to do with the decision that was rendered at Level 3. Again, your options are to take no action, which leaves the decision at Level 3 in place, 2, affirm the decision at Level 3, or 3, modify the decision in some respect. Is the board interested in taking any action? Okay, hearing no action, then no action will be taken on 12B. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blanco. Item 12C, consider approval of administrative recommendation. Ms. Carmona?
President Morales, members of the board, administration recommends Marianne Torales to assume the role and responsibilities as the new assistant principal at Captain Walter E. Clark Middle School.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Mena and a second by Cynthia Nahara. Ms. Cynthia Nahara, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. If there is no further business for this board, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:41.